It's time to get down to business on TK Business Live, brought to you by the members of the Topeka Independent Business Association. Now, let's join Tara Dimmick, owner and publisher of TK Business Magazine, as we take a look into the business world of Topeka, Kansas.
Hi, and welcome to TK Business Live. I hope you're having a great start to your week. Today is my daughter's 13th birthday, so I have a teenager at the household now. Happy birthday, Hope. I also want to do a quick shout out to the Topeka Independent Business Association. They are the sponsor of TK Business Live, and you can learn more about them at Topeka, TIBA.org. So go check them out. Again, that's Topeka, TIBA.org. Hey, we've got a great show coming up. We've got Mike Schultz joining us. Mike is the owner of H.O.P.E. So ironic, my daughter's name is Hope, and we're going to talk about H.O.P.E. His company is a prosthetic company. And they recently moved to Topeka about a year ago. And so I'm looking forward to visiting more with him about his company and kind of the passion behind the work that he does. Then I have Missty Lechner joining me. Missty is with the American Heart Association and also representing WorkWell Shawnee County. And we're going to talk a little bit about employee wellness. We recently did an article in TK about employee wellness. Obviously, it's a hot topic and an important topic. And so we're going to visit a little bit with Missty about that. And then I, of course, am having Alissa Menke back one more time at least. I'm sure she'll be back again soon to talk more about technology, social media, and just that changing environment of technology and trying to keep up. So we'll visit more about technology. It's a hot topic for me right now, and it's something that I really enjoy talking about. And Alissa is a great sounding board and really a true expert in that area. And she's with Jones Hewitt Partners. So let's get started. I've got Mike joining me first, and he is president of H.O.P.E. So welcome, Mike.
Thank you.
It is always great to see you. Okay, but tell us what H.O.P.E. is. What does that represent?
H.O.P.E. is an acronym for Horizon Orthotic and Prosthetic Experience. And we're a locally owned and operated company that provides orthotics, which is orthopedic braces, and prosthetics, or artificial limbs, for amputees.
So what got you started into this business?
Well, I originally got into the field back when I was in college. I thought I wanted to be a physical therapist, and just in working in that profession got introduced to someone who did prosthetics and realized that really was what I was more designed to do.
Okay, so explain that. What does that mean? You were designed to do? What was the passion behind that?
Well, I think there's so many things that go into what makes a good prosthetist, orthotist. And a lot of those things were gifts that I've been given. For example, you have to be really good with your hands. It's kind of an art. It's kind of a science, but it's also kind of like shop class. We have tools and equipment that we're building things with. I've always loved to make things. And so I knew I wanted to do something in healthcare, and yet I was really good with my hands. So it just kind of combined the two things that I had a passion for.
That is really interesting. I never thought about it, but it is an art, and it is that really does describe what I would think of that profession. So
very much so, very much an art, because we're working with plaster models and creating molds that we can use to design the braces or prosthetic devices from. So you do actually have to work with your hands and mold things and use plaster and shape things, and it's so it is very much an art and a science and a craft.
That is amazing. As I think about that, the reason why I'm having this emotion over here is I'm going, wow, I guess, in a lot of things you just think you order it up. But that's not what's going on here at all. You're not ordering it up.
That's correct. In fact, our Overland Park Clinic has a lab's probably close to 2,000 square feet. We have technicians, and we custom build the devices there. And so what else is really neat about it is part of my day is in the front half of that clinic is a clinic setting. We have exam rooms, we have the cast rooms, we have where we see our patients, and then I go in back and it's band saws and drill presses and hammers, and so I kind of can flow from patient care to fabrication back and forth.
Wow, that is incredible. Okay, so you have the Topeka office here. So how long have you been here in Topeka?
We opened in Topeka 1 year ago, February. So about 13 months we've been in Topeka. H.O.P.E. was started in 2000. 2007. I actually have been in the field since 1990. So I spent, 17 years plus working for another company, and just decided it was time to start my own and kind of do things the way I felt they needed to be done, with a focus on patient care and not so much on revenue and profits. It was really focusing on taking care of patients and treating people like their family. It's like it's your mother or your father or your brother or sister. And we started with 2 employees in 2007, and currently we have 18 and 4 clinics.
Wow, that is incredible. That's incredible. Okay, so you talked about the patients. Now, patients who come to you, many of them have been through a very traumatic experience. The loss of a limb is impactful. I can't even imagine. And so is it emotional? What has been maybe a story where you've gotten to watch someone transform?
Well, I'll tell you, there's a lot of stories. I think one of the things that's really great about this profession is it's so rewarding. And I don't know that there's any one that stands out to me. I mean, I've had Paralympic athletes that have come to, get a prosthesis so they could run in the Paralympics. But sometimes the simpler stories are even more rewarding. I think, for example, I had a gentleman who was going to another clinic to get his prosthesis, and he developed a sore on his leg. And this is a working man. He's got a family, and he was going to a wound care doctor who said, you have to leave the prosthesis off. Well, without a prosthesis, he can't work. And he was seeing wound care doc for about 6 weeks. He finally came to me and said, can you do anything? And we fit him with some new technology that incorporates a vacuum pump into the prosthesis. It's really intended to help the legs stay on and feel like it's really part of them. But one of the side benefits is it actually pulls blood flow down into the limb. And we fit him one day, and within a week, his limb was healed. He was back working full time.
Oh, and he was back to life, and he could take care of his family. And
yep.
It's all the big stuff that you don't think of as big stuff.
Yeah, and so, it's people like that come back and they give you a high five or a hug that just, it's just very rewarding to do what we do.
I can only imagine. Okay, so how can someone learn more about what you do, learn more about how to maybe come to you or utilize your services? What information should they go to? What website?
I think the easiest thing would be if they went to our company website, which is www.hopekc.com. And you can see our different locations. You can kind of see some of the things we do. There's some inspirational stories. We also have a Facebook page if you wanted to look on that and just see some of the things that are current and some of the patients that we've treated and some of the success stories.
Well, Mike, thank you so much for joining me. Any other last thoughts that you have?
No, other than it's just been a great profession, and honestly, I don't think I'd rather do anything else.
That is that's what we all strive for in business, is to find that thing that just makes us happy every day.
Very much so.
Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
I have Missty Lechner here with me, and Missty is with the American Heart Association and also WorkWell Shawnee County. And, welcome, Missty.
Thank you.
Always good to have you. Misty's also a friend. We've gotten to work together with Heartland Healthy Neighborhoods. And, recently in the spring issue of TK, we talked about employee wellness and the value of it and what Blue Cross Blue Shield's doing, and even what small, it's not really a small company, but what, a local company that's only got 3 people in it can do with its large company, was Title Midwest. And they did the zombie walk, which was really cool. Because who doesn't want to do zombies? But it was all online, and so they were able to work over multiple offices throughout the nation and do this large corporate type of wellness program, but they could even do it in their small office of 3 to 5 people. And so it was just kind of a cool way to promote wellness within your company. And so, we all know that it's important to be healthy. We hear those statistics that your insurance will be lower if you take care of this, and just across the board, insurance will be will be lower. But it's hard to grab onto for a lot of companies. Like, we're already just trying to get the business to run. I don't understand why I need to help my employees be healthy. That's their stuff. They need to do that. So, Missty, talk a little bit about why it's so important for this employee wellness to be kind of a part of your strategic plan as a business?
Absolutely. So there are a few different reasons why employee health and wellness is so important. Of course, it's the bottom line. If you provide insurance to your employees, you would like your employees to be healthier so they cost your insurance less. So reason number one, that's pretty obvious. Number two is that really employees can be much more productive if they feel healthy and if they feel happy and if they feel like they are being valued by their employer, not just as an employee, but as a person, and health and wellness is a part of that. And of course, there's also employee retention. If you want to retain good, healthy employees, you need to do something to support those employees and support their health, support their wellness, even their emotional health as well as their physical health. So that's why employee wellness programs are so important. Whether you provide health insurance to those employees or not, it still impacts your business's bottom line.
So what can a business do if they've tapped into this, they understand that it's important, but they kind of feel like, okay, where do I even begin? Do I start with our vending machine, or what is the best strategy to even get started in this place?
I would say the employer knows the employees best. So go with what the employees want most. One easy place to start is physical activity. People generally enjoy walking. They enjoy some form of being physically active, and they enjoy their employers supporting that. Not necessarily mandating it, but just supporting it so they know they can go out and walk during their break if they choose to. So that's a really good place to start. And then I would say start with something. Of course, communicating about physical activity, educating employees about physical activity is a good first step, but it is just a first step. You can get all kinds of materials off the internet from really reputable sources like the American Heart Association. So you don't have to develop these communication or education pieces yourself. You can pull them off of the internet. And then if you're going to do some sort of education and communication, what we promote at WorkWell Shawnee County is that you have an environment that supports those messages too. So that means you're not just telling people it's important to exercise, but you actually can give people a 10-minute break to go walk. You can actually give people a changing facility so they can change their clothes if they want to go out over their lunch break and only eat for a few minutes, but then go for a walk or a run for 20 minutes or so. So that sort of environment that also supports the things that you're saying is crucial to actually having your employees act upon the things that you're promoting. So those are some good first steps, thinking about the messages that you're putting out and how your environment either supports or conflicts with those messages.
So, Blue Cross Blue Shield, one of the things they did was actually, and I've heard, I think Cox Communications did this, and they created like wellness committees within the company, and that kind of took the pressure off the boss to say, this is what we're going to do. And it put it on to the employees to say, this is what we want to do.
Absolutely.
This is what we're now also, I guess, setting it up so that you can actually be supportive in what they want to do. But I believe I remember, this has been several years ago, but Cox Communications set up a gym. That was what their employee wellness group wanted. And Blue Cross Blue Shield has now done all kinds of things to even having different health things on their cafeteria line, different, I think they can get like a half portion.
Yeah.
Just all, and pay less for it, all kinds of really good, thoughtful things that are responses to what the Wellness Committee has helped decide.
Absolutely. So it is really helpful to have a Wellness Committee because the Wellness Committee should be as diverse as your employees are. So if you have multiple shifts, you should have people on your Wellness Committee from those shifts. If you have multiple departments, again, your committee should reflect that. And that does take the pressure off of the management to make the decisions on behalf of the employees and makes it about the decisions are being made by the employees. So you're no longer doing something to them. You're doing something with them. And you get a lot more knowledge, expertise, and opinions, which is really helpful. So you may think that your employees are really interested in physical activity, but the wellness committee might be more in tune to what they actually need, and the employees might actually want more healthy foods at the work site. And that's really the role of the wellness committee, to help inform and plan some of this. So also the time burden isn't on just one person.
Right. I just think, if the boss says, hey, we're changing the vending machine up, there's going to be whiplash. But if the employees say, hey, we'd like a few extra options in the vending machine, it's going to come with a whole different feel to it and be received and say, okay, yeah, I want to support you as the boss. So of course, whatever you guys want, we can change. When it comes to the vending machine, just a whole different perception of how it comes across when the employees make the decision.
Absolutely.
So talk a little bit about some of the resources that are right here in Shawnee County that employers can take advantage of.
So the first resource, I would say easily, WorkWell Shawnee County. We are a group of about 15 to 20 different work sites, and we meet monthly, the last Wednesday of every month at 3 o'clock at Blue Cross and Blue Shield. And we just get together and talk about the barriers that we're experiencing and what we can do collectively to help improve the health of our individual employee populations, but also of the community. So that is one resource that I would encourage any business who is new to worksite wellness to tap into. The businesses on WorkWell Shawnee County, they range in size from 12 employees to thousands of employees, and are pretty diverse in the types of industries that we represent as well.
I think they also, one thing that has come out of it that I've been watching is the diversity of decisions of how to do health and wellness for the employees. I mean, some of it is policies that are going into place that are making sure that there's different healthy foods available in a cafeteria. And then for other smaller businesses, it's just a matter of putting in a program or being a part of a larger program that's a walking program. But it's a part of something that multiple businesses are working on together.
Absolutely.
And so you have that access point to understand, okay, well, how could we partner together to make this a little bit more viable when I only have 12 employees, but if my 12 employees can combine with your 14 employees, wow, we can actually do something that's fun.
In fact, something that's really cool that we're going to be starting next month with WorkWell Shawnee County is this idea of healthy vending. And we, at the last meeting, discussed that we are experiencing some very similar barriers when it comes to getting healthy foods in our vending machines. And we're not asking for the moon. We're asking for 30 to 40% of the foods in our vending machines meeting some healthy nutrition standards. But it's hard. So how can we, as a group of 15 employers, band together and have a collective ask? And a collective ask to the vending machine companies that will help us as employers, but also make it easier on the vending machines, because they know all of these 15 employers have the same nutrition guidelines, have the same requirements for their vending machines.
Makes it a little easier if they're providing for 15 rather than if they're providing for one. They're not going to make that change for one, but they very well might consider that change for 15.
And some of the smaller employers, when you only have 30 employees, you don't need a whole lot in a vending machine. But if you can work collectively with an employer that has 1,000, that makes it much easier both on the vending machine company and on the individual employers. So that's another thing that we'll be starting next month that I think kind of helps underline the importance of working together with other businesses in Shawnee County and in Topeka to help advance health in our community and in our employees.
Oh, that's great. Any last thoughts thinking about even the American Heart Association or the various coalitions that are going on throughout the community and throughout the state that's happening right now? I mean, there is a huge push for looking at how to live a healthier life. I mean, we're moving from, that I still look back, it's been several years now since we were named the 8th obese city. And I can't even fully believe that, to be honest, but I know that we're not moving and we're not eating the way we should be. And I see a big push and change towards it because you're a better employee if you're healthy. Mm-hmm. You're a better boss if you're healthy. You're able to do more things. You're able to be more productive. You're able to be happier because after work, you're able to go do some stuff because you still have energy left. So there's so much value in making health a priority as an individual that I can see why this is so important as for employers to be thinking about for their employees. How do I help them do this?
Yeah, so I would say it's important to make being healthy a little bit easier for your employees at your work site. And however you do that is up to you to make that fit with your work site's culture and your work site's demands. But just make it easier for your employees to be healthier. And then you don't have to do this by yourself. You can learn from the other people here in Topeka on what's working. And even in Northeast Kansas, WorkWell Shawnee County has partnerships with other community coalitions and worksite coalitions. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can borrow other people's wheel and do it in your worksite. So it can be easier on your employees to be healthy, and it can be easier on you to implement a worksite wellness program if you learn from the others who have already done it.
Well, Misty, thank you so much for joining me today. It was great to talk about this. I hope this inspires someone to just look more into it. And how can they find out more about WorkWell Shawnee County?
We have a website and a Facebook. Our website is workwellsc.com, or you can look us up on Facebook at WorkWell Shawnee County, and we post all of our updates on there as well.
Excellent. Thanks, Misty.
Thank you.
What is TIBA? TIBA is advice and support. TIBA is information and education. TIBA is a voice for small business.
I'm Patty Bossert, the president of Key Staffing and Premier Employment Solutions. I have been a member for 10 years. The reason TIBA is important is my interest is primarily because of the legislative feedback and capabilities that they have for a small business. Since I have a small, independently owned business, I need somebody who can be my voice with the legislature.
The Topeka Independent Business Association is strong because of its members. Become a member today by visiting TopekaTIBA.org.
I'm here with Alissa Menke, and she's joining us again. I love having her on TK Business Live, and she's the Vice President of Digital Innovation with Jones Huyett Partners, and we are going to talk what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about mobile.
Mobile. Yeah.
And this is something that you have to be ready for, and Alissa, just dive in.
So many people today are accessing the internet on their mobile phone. At this point, there is less than 10% of the entire U.S. internet using population that won't use their mobile phone at some point in any given week or month to access the internet. There's an even larger component, though, almost 12%, 15% that are only using their mobile phones for internet access. So
that's a big deal. When you hear the number and you're like, oh, it's only 12 or 15%, you're like, no, you're not reaching them if you're not talking to them on their phone.
Yeah, and of that 12 or 15%, depending on who your targeted audiences are, that 12% may actually be 80% for you, right? Mm-hmm. So it's really knowing, who are you trying to reach, because it could be significantly mobile only usage if it's the right people. So it's all about what does your website look like and how can I get around on my mobile phone? If I have to pinch to, enlarge your screen and slide side to side to be able to find the buttons, your site is not mobile friendly. Right. So you need to start thinking about how can we get mobile friendly and how can we do it fast? And you could either have a website that is specific to mobile. So you would actually have two different sets of code and, within a second that URL is being pulled up and it's recognizing the size of screen and then serving the right set of code. Or you could have a responsive site, which is one code set that sizes appropriately, which is really a great way to go. It can get really bulky, though, and it can slow the speeds down if you have a lot of, rich media content. So one of the things that's new, and this is as in the last 2 weeks new, Google has been working on what is called an accelerated mobile page, which is it's an open source type of programming which will accelerate the mobile load speeds significantly. It's something that we've read about. We've done a little bit of dabbling on our own website. It's not something we've even done for clients yet, but I would definitely recommend that it's something that's on your radar. And so as you're talking about your next gen of your website or even just updates, really, work with your IT team or your webmaster, or do a little bit of research online yourself and figure out what you can do to make sure that you have the best website you can from a mobile front, because if you're not there, you're missing out.
Yeah, and it's hard because we talked before, but when the spring issue of TK came out and my phone, the website, it wasn't down. It was just moving at a snail's pace. I mean, a second means that I lost probably 50% of the people, and then the next second, I mean, how many people did I lose? Did I lose them all? Because honestly, I could have lost myself. I mean, if I wasn't fighting for it. And so being a manager of your own website, checking it out for yourself, making sure you're going and looking at it, I would think that would be just so important. I mean, ours happened to slow down because of the content we put on it, because of the magazine coming out. And for some reason, something tripped. And we basically, I think we kind of crashed our own website is what we did. And so, which is not a smart thing to do, especially with something that runs on a deadline like that. But we were paying constant attention to it. So I think, we were able to resolve it somewhat, but we had to pull all kinds of content off of the website just to try to get it ready and going. And I just think about how many people never visit their own stuff.
Yeah. And that needs to be something that you whether it's like programming a reminder so that once a month you just go out and check out your site. If you don't go out and look at it, a lot of times that's the first touch point that someone, a new brand or a new client prospect has for your brand. So if you can't, take that step back and look at it and your brand and how you're being represented online through their eyes that first time, you're missing out, because, we're in a day and age where, people are doing all of their research before they ever come into the store. People are going to realtors now and saying, I want to look at these 6 houses. Right. I'm interested in this thing in particular, or they've narrowed the field down. So you need to make sure that online touch point where they're doing all of their research is the front and the face for your brand that you want. And again, if it's not mobile friendly, then they're not going to spend any time on your site. They're going to go to someone else's who is.
Yeah, and you don't want that.
No.
All right. Well, any last tips that you can tell? How about this? This is a topic that we talk about. I love this topic, but if they're thinking, okay, I don't even know where to start. How do they talk to you?
Yeah, so if you have a website that needs to become mobile friendly, that is something that JHP does, and you can reach out to us. If you don't know what a mobile friendly website looks like, ours is a good example. jhpadv.com. We'd be happy to talk with you, and if we're not the best solution for you, we're also happy to recommend other options, because it's not necessarily something that is the only thing we offer, but it is really important, and we really want to help people because we know it's that important.
Yeah, it's your storefront.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much, Alissa, for being with me again.
Thank you.
Great to have you. Thanks so much for joining me on TK Business Live, and thanks to my guest, Missty Lechner with American Heart Association in WorkWell, Shawnee County, Mike Schultz with H.O.P.E, and Alissa Menke with Jones Hewitt Partners. It was great chatting with them, and I hope you have a fabulous week.
Thanks for joining Tara and her guests on TK Business Live. Join us again next Sunday at 11:30 to hear more from our community business leaders, entrepreneurs, and people making a difference in the landscape of how business is progressively moving forward in Topeka. TK Business Live is brought to you by the members of the Topeka Independent Business Association.